In this lecture, I want to talk about grading because I've created a grading structure for this class that I think will really support your learning, especially in an online environment, but is not at all traditional, or at least it's not at all the way my chemistry classes were structured. Hopefully, you've already seen a grading structure similar to this in another class. And if this is totally new to you, then please ask lots of questions. And I'm happy to keep checking in throughout the quarter to make sure everyone feels confident knowing where they stand in the class as they try to make progress towards their grade goals. So I'm going to dive into my assessment structure. It is a homebrewed assessment structure I've made myself that takes elements of specifications grading and labor-based grading and kind of meshes them together. I'd say it's more of a specifications grading structure than anything. You know, if any of these terms make sense, if you're really into pedagogy or andragogy, maybe they are. But let me show you what it means. Okay. There we go. All right. So first of all, I'm not going to set a number of points for an assignment and then give you some number of those depending on how many correct answers you have. That's not going to happen. Instead, I'm going to grade assignments as either incomplete, like you didn't try it, complete, you attempted all or most of the problems, or mastery, which means you completed it and you got like an A minus, B plus level work that you turned in, and it's great. I would say that it shows that you understand the material. Now, Canvas doesn't want to do this at all. So I am using a point system to force letter grades in Canvas. And so typically you'll see a 1 out of 1 represents an M or mastery grade, but I have to give it a range. So it's anything above a 0.85. And complete, I coded as a 0.5, but it could accidentally show up as 0.84. And incomplete should be coded as a 0. So there'll be a numeric value that's really just associated with a letter grade because Canvas can't create letter grades without it being attached to a percentage. So that 0.85, that 0.5, that 0 doesn't mean anything. It's just a way to make an M, C, or I appear on Canvas. So there's that. So within my grading structure, I have students revise work after getting feedback from me to improve their grade, like to make it complete or to make it at a mastery level. And I like this about online learning because it allows students to really work at their own pace and to learn from their mistakes in the moment. So some assignments will allow infinite revisions, and that's homework assignments or the introductory assignments that are kind of like complete or incomplete. And these ones, once you hit the kind of benchmark that is set, you'll just be complete and done. These ones won't be graded as mastery. It'll be a check mark or an X in Canvas, unless it's a quiz or survey. And then our kind of harder assignments or more time consuming assignments are labs, problem sets, and projects. And for these, when you turn it in, I will grade it and give you a ton of feedback on it. And then if it's not at a mastery level, you'll have one more attempt to revise it to hit that mark. And you'll revise it based on my feedback, and you can revise it with my help too. So you'll have a second chance for everything in this class. So our grades then, since I'm not using that percentage scale, won't be based on how many points you collect during the quarter. Instead, grades are going to be based on the number of assignments you complete and the number of assignments that you complete at a mastery level. I am going to make sure that I have set really clear expectations for every assignment for what it means to complete it and what it means to complete it at a mastery level. If you have any questions about what is being asked of you, let me know and I will clarify until we reach a common understanding. I'll have rubrics for mastery level work for our labs, problem sets, and projects that you'll be able to use to guide you. So let's just do a quick comparison. I've taught this class a lot on a percentage-based system that would be really traditional, and I took all my classes that way. And this will be a little different. And so here's some of the differences and similarities that I see. as I've been creating this. So first and foremost, we've already said it's points in a traditional system and it's incomplete, complete, or mastery in this system. You usually only have one opportunity to do an assignment in a traditional grading system, but in this one, you'll be able to revise everything. Now, usually in a traditional class, you get feedback on an assignment that you do just once, and that feedback informs your performance or your learning for some later assignment, like a final exam. We won't do that. So we'll instead have that learning happen with that assignment with the revision. And you don't have to take a timed final exam at the end of class. You can if you want, though. With a traditional grading system, deadlines can have to be rigid, right? Because there's just one deadline. But once you introduce a revision, then suddenly those deadlines become inherently flexible. And for my class policies, I go a step further and I won't have negative consequences for being late because it's a pandemic and crazy stuff can happen. So normally students can do less work in some areas and then still get a passing grade. Like a student may not do the homeworks, but ace the exams and get by with a C. In this structure, you have to do that foundational work. You have to show me that you're trying to learn the material. And so if you don't do the homework assignments, you won't be able to pass the class. So that is kind of one difference here, is that I'm defining what is the work that I think is essential to learning. And students are required to do that essential work to pass the class. Normally, grades are an overall percentage of points earned out of some total. And in this case, we're going to have grades determined by completing assignments. But either way, no matter what, when I teach, I try to give lots of feedback to students. All right. So I'm going to walk through the types of assignments we're going to have. I'll try to go through this fairly quick as I can. So we'll have a set of introductory assignments. These don't fit any other real category other than they're the work that we have to do to be able to make the class function. Like I need to hear what your GPA goal is, and I need to do grade check-ins with you. So those count as an introductory assignment. I need to know who you are, and your peers do too. So I have an introductory discussion that's a required assignment at the beginning of the class, and a survey that tells me about the type of learner you are. We'll develop a class honor code, so that's part of our introductory assignments, and lab safety, a lab safety quiz. So to pass the class, you have to do these things. And it's just it's kind of like just the ground level work that we have to do to be able to interact and engage in this material. All of these assignments will be graded complete or incomplete. And so that's you don't have to worry about revising to mastery. You just have to follow the instructions and do the thing. All right, then we have homework assignments. This is our other one that's kind of assignment that's just like practice, and it'll also be graded as just incomplete and complete. Each homework assignment will have two parts. The first part is a reflection and summary, and there'll be a little worksheet that you fill out that's one page. It'll ask you to say what was the thing that was the most confusing. Just by reflecting on that, it'll help you get so much more out of the practice problems. So please do this before you do the practice problems. And then it'll be a summary. And it's basically forcing students to prioritize and organize information. So that way you can begin to see the connections between our topics and see a bigger picture. This will be critical to your success in the problem sets and the projects, where I'll be asking you to synthesize ideas across different chapters and to apply that knowledge and create with it, and really problem solve. And so this helps build the pathways that we need to be able to do that work. So that's the first part. And the second part of each homework assignment for a chapter is practice problems. These are in Chem 101. And these you can do as many times as you want. So you try the problem, you put in the answer, it says it's wrong, you go, you get a hint, and then you try again. And I want you to practice problems enough to start getting really familiar with the material. So keep going until you hit 85% of them right. You can go to 100% too. But once you hit 85%, it's considered complete. Now, for each chapter, and chapter 2 and 3 are combined, there'll be a homework that is both of these things, and you have to do both to earn credit for the homework assignment. Labs. So labs are the foundation of a chemistry class. It is how we apply the concepts in a hands-on way. Even though we're online, we're going to be doing at-home lab kits to learn about the concepts. It's also building your lab skills, which in the lab sciences, we have to start right away because it takes so much time to refine them. And so we have 6 lab assignments, and I think they are all essential. So they'll be graded incomplete, complete, and mastery. You'll be able to revise it once after I give you feedback, and I can help you with the revision process. And these will be a very large part of your grade in that you have to complete them all. And if you miss one, then it'll be a large decrease in your GPA. And so just performing the experiment and recording your data and observations and attempting most of the problems will give you a complete on the lab. Things don't have to be perfect. And then if you can do that same job of completing the lab, but your overall work is at about an A minus, B plus level, then you'll earn a mastery. And there'll be a rubric for each that explains what that entails. Problem sets. So these are our kind of grade building activities. Problem sets are going to combine 2 or 3 chapters worth of material, and they will be harder questions, challenging case studies that show how to apply it. Sometimes there'll be a demonstration or a short answer. It'll be things like that. And so they're fun, and the process of completing them will be a learning experience. So they're not just assessing how much information you know, they're also helping you stretch and grow as a problem solver. So for these, they'll be also graded incomplete, complete, mastery, and you'll have 1 revision after you turn them in and get feedback from me. These must be done individually. Labs you can work on with your peers, but problem sets you need to do on your own and without a tutor. If you have questions about them though, you can ask me and I will help you out. And then lastly, we have projects, our last little grade building exercise. And these will be graded again, incomplete, complete, or mastery with 1 possible revision after I give feedback. And there are a variety of types of projects and topics, and you get to choose. So you can choose a project and a project that speaks to the type of learner you are, and you can choose a topic that speaks to something that you're interested in. And so this might be writing a letter to a representative about something, an environmental issue about like gas emissions, and you can connect it into the gas behavior chapter that we do. Or it's a presentation on a subject going in more depth, or I'll even have just good old traditional exams as an option too, if you want. And so these are our different assignments. And here's how I visualize our grading structure. So you can think of this class as everyone entering with either a 3 or a 3.2. For me, it's easier for me to visualize as a 3.0. So I created this graphic based on that. So someone who's getting a 3.0 is getting a B in the class. And to me, that means you're completing all of the homework assignments. So you're doing that practice work of just learning the foundational concepts and problem solving strategies. And then you're also completing all of the labs. So you are doing the experiment, recording data, and you're attempting all the problems. And then to get a B in the class, I expect that 5 of those 6 labs you will either complete or revise to a mastery level, which is that B plus kind of range, right? And that's it, right? So the most important thing in this class is the homework and the labs. And so we focus that core on just getting a 3.0. Then from there, you can build your grade up towards a 4.0, or your grade can be lowered below a 3.0. So beyond that work for a 3.0, for every mastery grade you get on a problem set or a project or that 6th lab, right? You'll earn another 0.2. So basically, mastery on something is worth 0.2 of your GPA. Now, from that 3.0, if you only get a mastery grade on 4 out of 6 labs, you would get a 2.8 in the class, right? So you'll lose a 0.2 from that 3.0 benchmark for every mastery lab you don't, or every lab you don't get to a mastery level. Also, I'll look at missing assignments. So you'll lose a 0.2 for your GPA for every missing homework and 0.4 for each missing lab. So that 0.4 is really highlighting that labs are key. They're 40% of the credits of this class, and so of the content. And so you really need to be doing the majority of the labs to pass this class, right? So that means more than 4. And the way I think of a 2.0 is really like you completed all the labs, you completed all the homework, but you didn't master any of the labs. So like you attempted everything, but you never revised up to that mastery level. And so you can lose points or you can gain points for wherever you are, right? So you can drop down because you miss a homework assignment to a 2.8, but you could do 2 projects and you can bring your grade up to a 3.2. And in our grading overview, I have a few examples of like how grades would be calculated. I also have available to students a spreadsheet that can be imported into Google Sheets, or you can use it in Excel and it will calculate your grade for you. And so it looks like this right here, you can see. And in it, it has kind of 2 sections. One is the core assignments of the class, the homework and labs and introductory assignments. And then second is the grade building pieces. So this is set up assuming you are going to do all of the core work for the class. And so you will have a 3.2. So I like to think that we're starting the quarter off and everyone has a 3.2 in the class. And then what you do throughout this quarter increases, decreases, or keeps that grade the same. So if you complete all of the homeworks, if you complete all of the labs, and if you get a mastery on all of the labs, you will have a 3.2 in the class, just doing that amount of work. Let's say one of the labs is super hard. There'll be one that's super hard, right? And you don't get it to the mastery level. You try and you turn it in. It's just going to be too much work. So you stop there. Great. Well, you'll just come into that lab. Let's say it's calorimetry and you put in a -0.2. That means you completed it and